For quite some time now, the Call of Duty franchise has become divisive among gamers and very hit and miss, with games varying in quality from being horrible, trashy cash-ins to fun games that end up becoming requested by tons of fans to be remade or released on the Xbox One backwards compatibility program. However, if I were to mark a point where the Call of Duty franchise just completely lost it, it would have been the beginning of the console generation. Call of Duty Ghosts was just a bad game all around, with a boring single player and a frustrating, half-baked, buggy multiplayer. The only saving grace of Ghosts was its infection mode, and even then it was just one map without any sort of map editor because Call of Duty hasn't had mods for quite some time. Advanced Warfare, on the other hand, is what I'd call an underrated game. When it first came out, I was so sure it would be the new Black Ops 2. Disliked it first, but later hailed as one of the best games in the series. While it has gone on to be an underrated game, appearing in review sites as top Call of Duty title lists and having a steady player base, the movement system alienated many Call of Duty players who just wanted the same game as last year and weren't expecting Advanced Warfare, despite saying that Call of Duty was repetitive years before. Black Ops 3, on the other hand, really showed weaknesses with Call of Duty's yearly developer model. Instead of improving on Advanced Warfare, it tossed everything that game did out the window in favor of its own new movement system, which was slower and clunkier, relying on holding a button instead of pressing buttons a set number of times, like Advanced Warfare did, feeling more like a clunky version of Halo Reach's jetpack. It also made every mistake in the book with shoot, die, quick, and respawn gameplay, worse graphics than not only Advanced Warfare but even Ghosts, poor gameplay that was very frustrating and bad gameplay mechanics, bad map design, poor netcode, and it even ended up alienating Call of Duty players. Did I mention there wasn't even a classic movement mode at all like what Advanced Warfare had? So after two Call of Duty titles in a row with a futuristic setting and new movement systems alienated the Call of Duty player base, Infinity Ward, already the least liked Call of Duty developer, followed up Ghosts with, well, Infinite Warfare, yet another futuristic shooter. The multiplayer trailer was dislike bombed, and while the single player got better like ratios, let's be honest here, nobody buys Call of Duty for the single player, and that's why the initial reveal trailer for Call of Duty Ghosts became one of the most disliked videos alongside the 2016 Ghostbusters reboot trailers. So Infinite Warfare came out the other day, and well, I forgot that that game even came out, and Family Video actually got it in late too. I guess that shows how much less relevance the Call of Duty brand has, and it says a lot when the new Call of Duty comes out and I completely forgot it was coming out. I remember a few years ago when kids skipped school to get the newest Call of Duty, and now look how much it's fallen. Now Call of Duty is barely clinging on to relevance. And I mean, it's so irrelevant that there was more hype over a remake of Call of Duty 4, included with the $80 version as of now, than there is Infinite Warfare itself. The last time this happened with Call of Duty, with Modern Warfare 2 containing a port of the original Call of Duty and its more expensive versions, it was seen as a bonus, not as overshadowing the game itself. Oh, and Modern Warfare Remastered is only a download code that comes with Infinite Warfare's $80 version. And just so that you don't outsmart Activision and trade the game in after you've redeemed the code, you have to use Infinite Warfare's disc to play the game, and you have to keep it in the console so that you don't just get smart and resell it on Amazon or to GameStop. After all, Activision really does not want you to trade it in. Now that I rented a copy of Infinite Warfare, I'm going to talk about this game, without using epic gamer memes from Funny Junk about how you're only hardcore if you play games for 6-year-olds, or ranting about how video game cyber violence is evil like some kill screenwriter does. So first of all, let's talk about the multiplayer, or the part of Call of Duty that keeps people coming back year after year. The first time you start Infinite Warfare and go to multiplayer, the game has to download an update outside of Xbox Live, and this takes a while, around 3 to 4 minutes on my fiber internet connection, and then the update requires you to restart the game. You know, even though I already let the game install, and even though the game already downloaded a several gig update from Xbox Live already, Once it downloads, you're then introduced to the multiplayer mode with a video introducing the multiplayer mode, with the character in-game briefing you on some new features. He briefs you on the fact that missions now exist in Infinite Warfare similar to field orders, and in Black Ops 1 similar to contracts, and specialists now make a return, now called rigs. Instead of feeling like something out of Destiny, they blend in with the game's sci-fi theme, as you can now choose from different generic armored soldiers with face visors that look like copies of the Master Chief from Halo. For the multiplayer mechanics of Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, Infinity Ward essentially used Black Ops 3's. Gameplay is very similar, and it's easy to get the feeling that you're playing Black Ops 3 from this game. The game features the same movement mechanic, the same specialists under a new name, the same crap maps, and the same poor spawns. One thing that irked me about Black Ops 3's movement was all the invisible walls and random spots in the map, which Advanced Warfare lacked, and well, they make a return in Infinite Warfare as well. While in Advanced Warfare you could jump over numerous things, in Infinite Warfare and Black Ops 3, lots of minor obstacles such as a fence will cause you to hit an invisible wall. Maps still feel like long corridors essentially, and not very wide, and chances are you'll die not long after you spawn. In Domination, this is made worse by the fact that capture points are located very close to each other in straight lines quite oftentimes. Spawn points suck, and you'll get spawned right near where you died quite often. Sometimes you'll get spawned near an enemy, and at least in one case I spawned right into the enemy's line of fire and was killed instantly. Gunplay revolves around who can be standing in the right spot with their finger on the left trigger already aiming down the sights and lining up their shots. Despite the movement system that encourages you to move around the map, most people play Infinite Warfare by standing in a corner and camping. You die fast, and this is made much worse by the horrible netcode. The netcode feels like the other player was already aiming at you, ready to fire the minute you moved in their field of view, as you lose gunfight after gunfight as they take longer to die than you do. The game rewards campers as well, as those who aim down the sight sooner will get the kill depending on how much lag there is in the match, and in just about every match I suffered lag despite having 4 ping bars. You can now get specialist abilities again, now called equalizers, however you can still lose them just as quickly after waiting the entire game to get this ability, just like in Black Ops 3. And did I mention that the community in this game isn't exactly the smartest? That's right, in at least one case, I was playing the game on Domination, the entire team spawned near an enemy control point, and what did they do instead of capturing it? Oh, they just went the other direction instead of turning around and jumping on point C. That's what they actually did. No wonder they lost the game, because the typical Call of Duty run right past the capture point mentality is still there. And quite oftentimes I'll find myself being the only person even making an attempt to capture a point sometimes. It's as bad as Black Ops 3 is, and it's just not fun to play at all. To make matters worse, the game released with features missing, such as custom emblems and leaderboards, and placeholdered with "coming soon." This is a new game, and it already has features missing with placeholders saying they're coming later. If anything, doubling down on Black Ops 3 instead of improving on Advanced Warfare, or even going back to the old movement system was a bad idea, as Black Ops 3 just didn't work. Graphically, however, Infinite Warfare is the near opposite. While Black Ops 3 was a step back from Advanced Warfare, Infinite Warfare has some amazing graphics for an Xbox One game. And I mean, if you show people 2 years ago these graphics and said, this is what an Xbox One released around the time of the launch can do, maybe there wouldn't be so many gamers online begging for a mid-life cycle update like the PS4 Pro or Scorpio. I mean, sure, there would still be some, but if you show gamers these graphics and told them this is what they can do, maybe there wouldn't be as many. However, some maps, for example Mayday, feature frame rate issues due to the numerous effects on the map, as Mayday, for example, is a derelict spacecraft flying through space and it's falling apart. Otherwise, it runs well, especially when compared to the stuttery Black Ops 3. There are some maps that, despite having poor layouts, have interesting themes taking place in the game's idea of the future, from a spacecraft where dead bodies float around when they are killed, to the remnants of a derelict spacecraft floating around in space, to even a Nuketown influenced 1950s small town USA map that takes place on a Main Street influenced shopping area instead of just two houses opposing each other with a moving van in the middle. Aside from the missing features at launch, the game does feel like it was highly polished, and it's probably one of the most polished Call of Duty games this generation, with lots and lots of in-your-face style, with lots of little things from an animation when you first pick your class and spawn for the first time, to all but eliminating long load times in matchmaking. Let's talk about the single player now, which you might as well experience later on when the game piles up in the used bin at GameStop. The single player for Infinite Warfare takes place in the future, obviously, with a war between Earth's government and some rogue faction that's split and is tyrannical. And compared to other Call of Duty single players, it takes more artistic liberties and features non-first person cutscenes more often. The graphics look great, however, there are more frame rate drops this time around, and from the beginning, instead of making you go through a tutorial, shit just hits the fan. And I mean, while older Call of Duty titles might have featured missions like one where you are just taken in a car until you're publicly executed, or missions where you basically learn the controls and everything, this Call of Duty just drops you straight into the action. However, there's one problem, and you see, all your favorite multiplayer mode gameplay mechanics are intact, from dying fast to stupid secret grenades that seek out players and kill them. Did I mention you die fast? So gunplay at times devolves to the point where if you even move out of a specific area, you are dead. Despite this, it has its redeeming values, like giving you fun weapons and gadgets to play around with, and interesting settings from Earth in the future to other planets. There are also space dogfights and zero-gravity levels, also missing in Infinite Warfare's multiplayer. Despite all this, it's not worth $60. If you really want to play another Call of Duty single player, just wait till it's flooding the used bin at GameStop, or find it at your local Cash America pawn shop. Oh, and there's also a zombies mode, sure to be popular among the teenagers who still buy Call of Duty every year. You can play with 3 other people who will get themselves killed, won't follow objectives, and end up getting you killed as well, somehow. In the end, Call of Duty Infinite Warfare further reinforces the fact that to many, Call of Duty either ended to them at Modern Warfare 2, Black Ops 2, or Advanced Warfare. Maybe COD 4. If there's a reason more people are excited for Modern Warfare Remastered than Infinite Warfare, and it isn't just because of nostalgia. Sales are down, gamers are moving on, and this is the problem Call of Duty dug itself into with yearly releases. In trying to reinvent the wheel yearly, the Call of Duty never changes complaints have been replaced with Call of Duty needs to drop the futuristic bullshit and go back to what it once was. Many factors could have prevented it, from spacing out games to following a consistent direction, but instead the Call of Duty franchise has trashed itself, at least in the multiplayer realm, and Infinite Warfare sales have been some of the worst in the series so far, and that's all that needs to be said. Thanks for watching, and subscribe for more.